They thought they had her. The alien tribunal called her Subject K9, a designation stripped of identity, rank, or species. She was just a prisoner to them. Stripped, chained, and surrounded by 5 armed guards, they paraded her through facility like a war trophy. The Coldry Republic didn't understand what they had captured. To them, she was one of many violent anomalies from the death world known as Earth, one more human to dissect, interrogate, and break. They made one mistake. They took her weapons. But her hands were never part of the disarmament protocol. You stand accused of inciting planetary insurrection, destroying Coldry property, and killing 32 state enforcers. The warden barked in Coldry dialect. She said nothing. The translator embedded in her collar vibrated, relaying the words in perfect English. The chains were unnecessary. She wasn't struggling. In fact, she hadn't moved since they pulled her from the stasis cell. Eyes closed, breathing slow, resting. The guards relaxed. That was the second mistake. You'll face neural extraction, the warden continued. All memories will be uploaded. Your mind will be deleted. Your body recycled. That is mercy. Her eyelids twitched. One guard shifted, glanced at his wrist console. Standard motion-suppressing shackles. Standard tranquilizer mesh. But she was human. Standards never applied to humans. They forgot. She opened her eyes, and hell followed. It started with a breath, slow, deliberate, then a subtle turn of her wrists, dislocated her thumbs with a snap. She slipped out of the restraints before anyone realized what was happening. Her hands moved with terrifying precision. In under 3 seconds, the first guard's neck was broken. She used his falling body as a shield, twisting into the next attacker, using her elbow to shatter his visor. They screamed. 2 plasma rifles fired, carving through the air where she had been half a second ago. She had already flipped over the interrogation table, grabbing a jagged shard of metal from the ground. It wasn't a weapon. Not yet, until she drove it through the eye slit of the 3rd soldier. The 4th dropped his weapon and tried to run. Big mistake. She didn't chase. She leapt, slammed her foot into a wall, kicked off at midair, landed behind him. Her fingers found the right nerve clusters. He collapsed, screaming, paralyzed. The 5th stood frozen, wide-eyed, rifle shaking. She stepped toward him slowly. "Shoot," she said coldly. He did. The rifle clicked. Safety was still on. She broke his jaw. Now only the warden remained. Pale, trembling, watching as a human wiped blood from her face with the sleeve of a dead guard. You're unarmed." The warden whispered. She looked at her bloodied palms. "No, I'm just waking up." The sirens blared. Reinforcements inbound. She pulled the collar from her neck. Sparks flew. Her voice returned to its natural tone. Calm, measured, merciless. "You thought disarming me would stop me. You never understood what I am." K9 was not her name. It never had been. Her name was Commander Raina Hale, 7 Assault Division, Earth Strike Forces, trained in over 90 martial disciplines, combat rated on 13 gravity scales. She led the Ember Canyon campaign on ARCs 7 and survived single-handed infiltration of a Hravik dreadnought. Every bone in her body had been broken and rebuilt by the age of 27. There were no weapons in the room more dangerous than her. She stepped through the door before it closed, moving like a ghost. Outside, alarms echoed to the tower. 10 stories of Coldry research and weapons labs, all built to contain exotic prisoners. None were more exotic than her. A squad of armored soldiers turned a corner, rifles raised. She didn't hesitate. She ran forward. By the time they opened fire, she was already inside their line. A twist, a throw, a snap, a scream. 12 seconds later, silence. She took one of their wrist consoles, linked it to the internal map, memorized the layout. She had 30 minutes until orbital lockdown. If she wasn't off the tower by then, the entire compound would be vaporized. Perfect, because she had no intention of leaving quietly. Raina didn't just want escape. She wanted payback. For the crew of the Horizon. For the citizens of Karen 6. For every human they had dissected under the lie of peace talks. The coterie claimed to fear chaos, but they had poked the one species born in it. She found the containment level. Dozens of alien prisoners stared at her through reinforced cells. Some cowered. A few watched in silence. One, a towering insectoid creature with scars across his carapace, hissed something guttural. She understood it. Death whirled her. She smiled. The control panel blinked. One button to open all doors. She didn't press it. Not yet. Instead, she walked up to the insectoid cell and cracked the glass with her bare fist. The prisoner flinched. "Tell them," she said softly. "Tell them humans don't need weapons." The creature nodded. Then she pressed a button. Pandemonium followed. As prisoners poured into halls, she disappeared into the chaos like a shadow. She wasn't trying to hide. She was giving the coterie a head start. They had 30 minutes to remember why the galaxy feared her species. 29 minutes to realize they should have never taken her weapons. And 28 minutes to understand that her hands were far more dangerous. Raina Hale moved like she had a map written into her blood. Sirens blared above collapsing walkways. Screams echoed through the smoke. She wasn't a prisoner anymore. She was a specter of vengeance in human skin. The prison ride had swallowed the compound whole. And at its center, she was calmly moving toward the roof. She didn't care about revenge anymore. She wanted them to witness it. Coterie Command had dispatched an assault shuttle, unaware of the breach. Their protocol was simple. Retrieve priority assets, secure the prisoner, eliminate any leaks. What they didn't know was that Hale had already rerouted their own defense codes. The hangar recognized her risk console now. She wasn't escaping. She was hijacking. Inside the elevator shaft, she scaled the inner rails by hand. No cables, no lift. 10 floors of vertical climb, broken only by brief pauses to avoid debris. Her fingers bled, her muscles burned, but she didn't stop. Pain was data. Noise. Something a file away. At floor 0, she tore through the maintenance hatch, crawled into the launch bay ventilation, and waited. The coterie retrieval team landed minutes later. 6 elites in exosuits, fully armed, ready to pacify. She didn't give them a chance. She dropped from the ceiling like gravity owed her a favor. The first soldier turned too slow. His helmet crumpled under her boot. The neck spun toward the sound, but her fist struck his throat before his rifle finished calibrating. The others reacted faster. Shields flared. Targeting systems locked. She used their dead teammate's body as a launch point, vaulted straight into the third's visor, shattered it, ripped the faceplate off mid-scream, spun, dropped low, elbow to kneecap, tendon snapped. 2 left. They opened fire. She rolled, grabbed a fallen plasma lance, and hurled it like a spear. It pierced the fourth's chest plate, the force slamming him against the hull. 1 remained. He fired wildly. She didn't move. The blast hit her shoulder. Flesh seared. Skin smoked. She stared through it. He paused, just long enough to register her expression. She rushed him, caught the barrel, twisted. The rifle exploded in his grip. She stood over the wreckage, breath ragged, smoke curling from her wound. The shuttle was unguarded. She walked inside, ignoring the burn. She'd felt worse on training runs. The cockpit recognized her stolen clearance code. Engines hummed to life, but she didn't take off. Not yet. Instead, she activated the ship's planetary broadcast system. Channel 0, galactic emergency frequency. Open to all species, all empires, all alliances. She looked into the comms feed. No armor, no weapons, just blood-stained hands, burns across her shoulder, and eyes full of fire. This is Commander Raina Hale of Earth. You took my weapons. You took my name. You thought that made me weak. She held up her hand, fingers dripping with blood, not hers. You were wrong. She didn't scream. She didn't threaten. She just spoke like the war had already begun. To the Coterie Republic, I'm not running. I'm coming. To every species hiding behind diplomacy, while humans bled in the shadows, your silence is noted. To the ones watching this thinking, she's just one. She smiled coldly. You always forget, we are never just one. Transmission cut. 30 seconds later, the tower's self-destruct triggered. Too late. She was already airborne. The shuttle burst to the stratosphere, silent as a knife. Her coordinates were already locked. The nearest human outpost, buried in the unclaimed borderlands of Sector 12. She'd need extraction, supplies, war maps, because she wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Back at the Coldry capital, the message hit like a virus. The footage spread faster than sensors could suppress it. Images of one human tearing through an elite facility. One woman, unarmed, undoing months of black budget operations in hours. Entire fleets froze mid-drill. High command went into lockdown. They realized too late. The galaxy didn't fear Earth's weapons. It feared Earth's will. The footage of her hand, raised, bloodied, bare, became a symbol, not just a rebellion, of inevitability. On the mining moons of Terek 3, enslaved humans revolted the next day. On Drelva Station, a captured Marine tore free from his shackles and used nothing but steel cable to subdue 5 guards before leading an uprising. On Earth, they didn't celebrate. They prepared. Because Reyna Hale wasn't coming home. She was making the galaxy remember. Humans didn't need guns to be dangerous. They never had. Their strength wasn't in firepower. It was in fury. In the cold discipline of survival. In hands shaped by generations of brutality and perseverance. She wasn't the beginning of the war. She was just a warning.